the knife and the spoon will be turned over. Sometimes the fork will be turned up that way, and sometimes it's been in the plate like that. Now we eat with our fork like this, but they ate with their fork upside down like this, and that's the English way of eating with the fork.
It is thought the ghost that roams the old lighthouse is that of Captain Joseph Willie Townsend, the second keeper of Choix Point. He was born in Bristol, England in 1847. It is known he attended a seminary in his youth, only to leave it when he contracted TB. To regain his health, he started a sailing career that took him all over the world. The sea air cured his illness, and in 1877, he immigrated to the United States. He was appointed keeper to Choix Point in 1901. Captain Townsend died on August 10, 1910, in an upstairs bedroom. He was 65 years old. It is said he died of cancer and was in great pain for weeks before finally succumbing. His death was keenly felt by all. The keeper was embalmed in the basement and then laid out in the parlor in a rough pine coffin. His wife, dressed in mourning black, wept openly at his side. His granddaughter, at the age of 3, remembered sitting in the room as a flickering oil lamp sat on a round table, softly illuminating the scene. To allow friends and family from near and far to pay their respects, the body was held for several days before interment in the Manistee, Michigan cemetery. Based on the supernatural activity in the lighthouse, the good captain's spirit must have decided to stay in the old light and not to move on. The upstairs bedroom that Captain Townsend spent so many agonizing days in until his death is now the site of a fascinating phenomenon. On occasion, the mirror has been seen to boil with dark and ominous clouds, only to finally coalesce into a distorted human face. What you are seeing now is perhaps the rarest of all video, the actual recording of a supernatural occurrence. The tape was shot by a video crew from a public broadcasting system affiliate while doing a program on the lighthouse restoration. This tape is not doctored, enhanced, or changed in any way. There are no special effects being used. What you are seeing is a genuine, unexplained phenomenon. Are we somehow seeing the trapped spirit of a long-dead keeper? Or is the mirror some kind of portal to the other side? Is there a world beyond the one we know? There are those who believe if mirrors are not covered when there's a death in the house, spirits will be trapped in the glass forever. Is that what happened here? If it is the ghost of old Captain Townsend that walks the old light, one of the ways he makes his presence known is by the pungent odor of cigars. The odor does not last long, perhaps only minutes, then disappears. Captain Townsend is said to have been a very heavy cigar smoker.
I was standing here tour guiding one day, and there was no customers, so we were just standing here talking, and all of a sudden I start feeling sick to my stomach and smelling cigar smoke real strong. And Mary said, what's wrong? And I says, can you smell cigar smoke? And she said, yeah, and it's strong and it was making her sick too. So I said, well, I'm going out and find out who's smoking in here. So I walked out on the porch, looked all around outside. There was not a person around. And I come back in and I told Mary, there's nobody around here. And by that time, the cigar smell was gone, and my sickness was gone. And so about 5 minutes later, two older ladies came in. I went and talked to them, and they wanted to go upstairs and see the bedrooms upstairs. And when I was standing at the bottom of the steps, and when they got up to the top of the steps, the one lady whispered to the other lady, somebody's been smoking a cigar in here. And I come walking back in here, and I says to Mary, those two ladies smelled that cigar smoke too.
Is the captain still walking on his daily rounds, a stogie clamped firmly between his teeth? After all, with his wife gone, he can now smoke in peace. There was another very strange occurrence in the old parlor that involved an antique Bible. The Bible was in a bookstand, on a table, and open to a page with a large illustration of the crucifixion. The pages are printed on a heavy parchment. When opened to specific pages, the leaves do not move. They stay firmly in place from their own weight. A group of investigators were in the parlor speaking about the ghostly activities. As they moved to leave, they saw the Bible had completely closed shut. Since all the group was in sight of one another, it was clear none of them had touched it. Was it the captain, the old Sumerian, trying to pass a message of life after death? The captain has also been seen outside. A woman who experienced the phenomenon was very certain of what she saw.
I was in the car with my husband taking a ride, and we decided to visit the Choix Point Lighthouse. My husband was driving, and I was enjoying the scenery along Lake Michigan. As we approached the parking lot at the entrance to the lighthouse park, I looked over at a small clearing in the woods and noticed an old man leaning against a tree. He had a bushy white beard and eyebrows and was dressed in a dark blue uniform with a matching hat. He was just standing there staring into nowhere. I blinked my eyes because it was such a strange sight. And then he was gone. He had disappeared that fast. I looked around, but he was nowhere in sight. I told my husband what I had just seen, and he shrugged it off, thinking maybe it was somebody in a costume doing a reenactment. We had a great tour of the lighthouse, and inside on a mannequin, I saw what a real lightkeeper's uniform looked like. Before we left, I was sure the uniform the old man had on had been a lightkeeper's uniform. It was always in the back of my mind, and I sometimes wondered what became of that old man. And then several months later, my father saved a newspaper for me to read. I picked the paper up, and there was a picture of the old man that I had seen outside the lighthouse. When I read the story, I immediately got cold chills all over my body. I couldn't believe my eyes. There was a story about the ghost of Choix. The man I had seen leaning against the tree and the man in the picture were the exact same. I knew for sure I had seen the lighthouse ghost.
Other visitors, as well as former Coast Guard keepers, claim they have seen a man with a white beard looking out the window of the mirrored bedroom. Is it Captain Townsend looking out? Is he still keeping watch? One of the last Coast Guard keepers remembered problems with cleaning the lens. He could leave it in sparkling condition, only to return a short time later to discover it covered with fingerprints. He knew no one else had gone into the tower. So where did the fingerprints come from? A group of Boy Scouts had the most recent ghostly experience at the lighthouse.
From time to time, I would hear noises upstairs.